This is the JK155 G.O.A.T High Flow, which is JK Armament's flagship low back pressure can. But I can't forget about the sponsors of the channel, which our first one is Infinite Defense, or Infinity Targets, the guys that make those awesome rubber targets that you always see me shooting and other people shooting. It's way better than paper. If you're training on paper, I don't know what you're doing. You need to get one. Use code NANNERS for 15% off. Next is Matthews Fabrication, the guy that makes this awesome cheek riser that you see all over the place. He makes them for various different rifles, but it is a universal cheek rest that goes up and down, goes on anything, basically stuff like that. You know what I'm getting at. Use code NANNERS for 10% off. And lastly is Hop Munitions. They are the ammo sponsor of the channel. They have USPSA approved 147 grain polymer tipped ammo. They have awesome ammo subscriptions where they send ammo monthly to your door and you don't have to worry about it. It just comes straight to you. It's sort of like a magazine showing up, but instead it's actually useful. Use code NANNERS for 5% off. It is full auto rated down to 7.5-inch 5.56 SBR. The majority of the materials on here are 6AL4V grade 5 titanium with a 17.4 blast baffle. The blast baffle has a little magic going on in there with some extra holes, as well as the end cap, you can see here, has some extra holes on the end, giving them their high flow technology. One of the cool things about this is the bore size is actually 9mm, but the end cap right here that I have on is 223, meaning yes, you could run 9mm, 300 blackout, stuff like that through this can, given you have the right end cap. If you're going to put it on a modern pistol with a tilting barrel, you're going to need a booster like most suppressors do. In the 30 cal, you just have to change the end cap and make sure you have the right muzzle device and you'd be good to go. As you can see, it looks very different than most suppressors. That's because this is modular. You can take every single one of these baffles off, including the end cap. I mean, all of these have wrench flats on them, so you could crank it tight if you wanted to, or if it's super tight and you need to get it off, you can loosen it. And you can run this as long as you have this first blast baffle here, the 17.4, and it's labeled on here for you. Let me find it. Right here, it's labeled, if you can see that on this first part, 17.4, meaning you just keep this baffle on there and you can run however many extra or little baffles that you want. So in theory, if I wanted a really short can, sort of just to take out the concussion rather than noise, I could take these 4 baffles off and put this end cap straight on that first baffle, and there you go. I have a really short can. Obviously, it's not going to be very effective in noise reduction, but it will still reduce the flash and concussion for stuff like CQB or anything like that. Now, some of you may be asking, why would I choose a low back pressure can compared to just a regular one? Well, there are certain firearms out there that require sort of a lower back pressure can. Like this Tavor right here, this is way over gassed. They did it for a reason. It was made for specific Israeli combat situations, so there's a reason they did that. But you can't, I guess you could put a normal suppressor on there, but you're gonna really tear up your gun and you're gonna get a lot of gas all over you. You're gonna get gassed out. With something like this, with their high flow technology, you're able to shoot this with less gas in your face and not absolutely destroy your firearm shooting hella rounds. While we're on the subject of this, I have a JK Armament War Eagle muzzle device on here, which is actually ASR mount-ish. So right here on my ranch rifle, I have a regular Silencer Co. ASR 3-prong. I can put this right on there, screw it on, and there we go. I'm good to go. Some of you guys are going to want to know the weight and length. It's around 7.5 inches and 13.4 ounces. I should talk about my relationship with JK Armament. They did send me this can, not specifically for review, but more, they just wanted some content, you know? And I really wanted to test out a low back pressure can on my Tavor anyways, so why not? But I had a call with them yesterday and let them know I'm gonna say anything about this. If I like it, if I don't like it, I'm not going to butter it up or anything like that, just because they gave me a can. If they want me to send it back, I'll send it back. But they said I could keep it, so that's everything. I didn't get paid for this or anything like that. Like I said, they just sent me this to get some content, and here we are. Right now, this isn't really a review of sorts. It's more of an overview, letting you know what it is, what it does, what its purpose is, everything like that. I haven't put enough rounds through this to actually give it a proper review. That could come soon. I could do like a 1,000-round test on this and see how it holds up and see how it sounds, etc. But I can tell you what things I actually do like about it so far. I guess this isn't really just a suppressor thing. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't really know. But with the War Eagle attachment, there is a taper system. So, I mean, right before the threads. So these threads of the suppressor are actually pretty spotless running it on there. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. I actually really like that, especially since it's not going to get carbon locked on there. Everyone hates getting their suppressor carbon locked. So, and then I do like the idea of it being modular, where I could break this down to just a 1-baffle can. Obviously, it's not going to be a great can at that point other than just a flash hider. But I like the idea of having the ability to do whatever you want. The looks of the can are definitely unique. It's not a traditional looking can. I mean, it looks like you just put some nuts on there and you went to town. But that's kind of the whole trade-off of being modular and having wrench flats and stuff like that. Overall impression of the sound, I actually kind of like it. I put it on my Ruger American Ranch and just shot a few rounds without Ear Pro and with Ear Pro, but without Ear Pro, it wasn't, I mean, my ears weren't ringing. Obviously, it's a bolt action, so there's no actual anything going on at my ear, but obviously it's still 5.56. It's still pretty loud whenever it's coming out of a suppressor because it's going supersonic. Overall, I don't think the sound is bad at all, actually, which is surprising to me because with other low back pressure cans, they have been pretty loud. And the whole point of a suppressor for me is sound signature reduction and muzzle flash reduction. Those are the two things that are very important to me. And so far, this excels. I mean, I didn't see any sparks today, even though this is majority titanium. I didn't see any today. Granted, I'm shooting during the daylight, but I have seen sparks on a can during the day when it's titanium. This end cap does a pretty good job at breaking down the muzzle flash. It's pretty good. I like the weight as well. It's not super heavy. I mean, feels like a can to me. There's nothing super extreme about it in my eyes. And I like the fact that where it comes from, in Idaho, it says Hammett, Idaho, right on the side here. And I talked to JK guys yesterday and they said that literally everything they make is right in the US and they source everything from the US. So one thing a lot of you guys may be confused on is the naming system. If you go to JK Armament's website and look at their suppressors, there's a bunch of numbers. There's JK155, 195, I think there might be a 105. And you just think, okay, I mean, which one, what does it mean? It's actually, I believe it's I don't know if it's the circumference or the diameter of that particular can, but like with a 12 gauge, it's 195, I don't know if it's millimeters, I really don't know. 195 means it's the larger can. 155, which is this, is for a 223. 105 is for a 22. So that's just a little explanation for their naming system. My overall first impressions of this are pretty good. So as I'm recording this, May of 2024, I haven't seen very many people talking about this or how it performs, but so far my first impressions, it works. I don't have any issues with it. There's nothing really to complain about with this can, other than the fact that I went to their website, looked how much it is. It is, I believe, $1,050 for this can. That's pretty high up there. And I think it's because it has something to do with the low back pressure technology. You know, there's a few cans out there that are low back pressure and they're pumping the price up quite a bit. I mean, you could get a really good can for $600-800. I mean, you can get some really good cans. So I really don't like the price on this, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess. One last thing, I guess I should talk about how it performed on this guy. For anyone that has a Tavor, you know how gassy it can be. And it wasn't bad at all. I did do some modifications on this. I actually did what IWI, they actually have a video on this. You take I don't know what this is from. I'll have to look it up and I'll put some text on screen of what it is. But I took this that was made for a scar, for rails of a scar, and put it on top and filled the back piece with a sort of rubber gasket type of thing to stop the gas from leaking out right there and going straight into your face. Granted, gas can still come out of the chamber, which is right next to your face on bullpups, but I didn't have much issue with that at all. So with that being said, for those of you guys that are looking for a how does it hold up type video, or how does it do after 1,000 rounds or something like that, be on the lookout for a video in the future. I believe I'll do another of this, maybe even 2 more, who knows. But yeah, as always, I'll see you on the other side.